Okay, guys, so now talking about the organization of my ideas. I'm sorry, I have some sore throat. Talking about these guys, well, I organized my thesis statement and I gave a certain organization to the presentation of my direction in terms of colors, right? So if you see it here, the same organization that I have here in terms of colors is the same that I have in the other part of my outline, giving it, let's say, a organization, as I said previously. So, for example, the first aspect is becomes deadly at a certain time. So, green is going to be number one. It's going to be my reason number one, my aspect number one, my direction number one. Yes, the combination of marijuana learning is deadly when talking about learning matters. So, if you see here, this is a short phrase, right? But I made it a longer sentence here talking about the same thing. Yes, talking about the same aspect, which is in this case becoming deadly at a certain time. Well, I made it a sentence, I made it a little bit more extensive, and I said the combination of marijuana learning is deadly when talking about learning matters. So it is not very extensive, but if you see, now it is a complete sentence. So this is the reason number one, uh, to say why I believe that marijuana learning languages are a terrible combination. Now I'm going to give support, I'm going to give facts, I'm going to give evidence information about this reason. For example, my support would be the addiction center, so taking into account an authority, taking into account an institution, an author, an expert, someone that knows very much about the topic, someone that knows a lot about the topic. So the Addiction Center establishes that marijuana and other substances cannot be misused since they can cause irreversible brain damage, blocking the possibility for brain cells to communicate. So if you see here, my support is coherent to my first reason. It becomes deadly when talking about learning matters, of course, because if there is brain damage, blocking the possibility for brain cells to communicate, this stops synapses communication, synapses connections, and this would be very bad for learning. So in that case, my support is coherent to my first reason. Now, I'm going to give a warrant. As we saw in theory, in some theoretical classes, we saw that warrant is implicit or it can be explicit. So in this outline, I suggest your warrant is explicit since it gives your argument or your reason, in this case, your reason number one, more strength. In which sense? You're going to see. If the combination does not bring good results but dangerous consequences, people should not think of taking this option by common sense. So if you see here, this is the general assumption, what we had seen in some classes, right? Explicit and showing the relation, the logical relation that exists between the combination of marijuana learning, and the support that I'm giving. So, as we were saying, and as Erica said once in one of our sessions, she said that warrant is, let's say, the link, the link that gives sense or makes sense in order to get communication between the reason and the support. So that this is my warrant. My warrant is the one that holds, yes, the relation between this reason and the support and makes it logical. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. I see it is very logical because this is right. If this combination does not bring good results according to this study and according to reason number one, so people should not think of taking this option by common sense. This is very logical. So if you see, the general assumption becomes explicit and gives my argument or my reason number one more strength. So that is the suggestion that I give you. The reason number two says marijuana is addictive and make people feel dependent. So this is not advised when talking about learning processes. So if you see here, guys, addictive is the reason number two, my direction number two, and I made it a complete sentence. Let's say following the same organization in terms of colors that I gave at the beginning with my directions. Yes. Now, the addiction center, I can use the same authority, I have no problem with that, says that this addiction causes more mood disorders than episodes of creativity. The misuse of this causes at a certain time to act in